What's up, everybody? So here with one of my clients and good friends, Khaled. What's up? How are you?
Hey Jesse, good man. How are you?
Good, good. So I guess we could start by giving people a little bit of context. So tell them a little bit about your story, tell them what led you to wanting to work with me, what we've accomplished, and then we can kind of like build the conversation from there.
Yeah, my story started a very, very long time ago, before we even met. I think I used to see your brother at the gym, but before we even met, I was at my highest. I was probably 250 to something around there, 260 maybe. And one day I just decided, because of a friend of mine who recommended this app called Lose It. And he's like, try it out, try it out. So I ended up trying it out. And it was essentially calorie counting. That's essentially all it was. Everything you ate, you told it what weight you're at, what you want it to be, and by what date. And it would tell you this is how many calories you eat. But considering that I'm very busy, what I figured I would do is take the easy way out. The cool thing about the app is you had a way to scan the barcode behind everything and enter the quantity. So that's what I did. And I was scanning the barcodes, entering the quantities. Most of the stuff that I got was like frozen that I could very easily split. And I just did that for a bit. I didn't think it was going to work because I had tried diets before and they failed. And then slowly, slowly, the weight started coming off. There was no gym whatsoever involved. I did not go to the gym once for the majority of it. And then eventually I got to a point where I plateaued and I was like, okay, I need to do something. So I signed up to the gym and all I did was cardio. I would walk in, do 45 minutes of elliptical, the same elliptical all the time, and I would walk out. And I noticed that the weight started coming off even more. So I was like, great, let's just keep doing that. The more I was at the gym doing cardio, I would look around and I was like, man, look at all these people doing like weights and lifting. It's ridiculous. What a waste of time. And then after the cardio finished, I was like, you know what? Let me just do some arms. And I did cardio for months. And I was like, let me try to do arms. So I would go in, do cardio, do arms, and then leave. And I kind of liked the effect that it had. That feeling, that sensation, you felt good. And then I was like, okay, great. Let me keep adding stuff. So I gradually started adding more things. And now I got addicted to the gym. And it continued, it continued, it continued. And at some point, I was like, great, I love this thing, but at the same time, what's next? And I kept thinking, what's next? What's next? What's next? And I spoke to a very good friend of mine and I was like, hey, like I'm thinking about competing. And he was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And he was super, super encouraging. Um, at the time, I didn't know what competing was. I just thought, oh, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and I'm going to stack up against a bunch of guys. That's what I thought it was. So eventually, I started working out, I started working out with my friend. We started getting into it and we needed to go a little higher. So he had recommended you. And I was like, yeah, I think I know his brother. I think we had trained once before, a few times before together. So I'm like, yeah, let's see. So scheduled the meeting, walked in, and I was like, yeah, I want to compete. Like that was it. I didn't know what it entailed. I didn't know anything about it. I was just like, yeah, how hard could it be? I'll just keep doing what I'm doing now. Just maybe do more. I remember one of the first questions I asked you was, how would you gauge my physique today if I were to compete like next week or something? And I remember you looked at me and you're like, well, we still have some progress and, we need to do a few more things before. And it's funny because I think back on that day and I'm like, man, like my physique today compared to my physique then, I would have smoked myself. Like it wouldn't even have been competition. But again, you're coming from a place where you're like, I don't know what competing is. I
Yeah.
just think it's working out extra hard.
Yeah.
So we did the first one. We did good, which is this one. And then I was like, that's it. I just wanted to do it once to try it out. I'm done. I am done with competing. It was great. I felt super, super fulfilled. The high you get is unparalleled, to be honest with you. Especially getting to a point where you're like, hey, I worked so hard for so many months. Now I know what competing is about. It's a lot more complicated. It's a lot more mental than you think it is. The weight is and the cardio. We're talking about a couple hours a day, 3 hours a day, let's say. That's not a problem. You can suffer for 3 hours a day, but can you suffer for 3 hours a day for months on end? and then get to a point where you're like, oh my God, this is excruciatingly difficult. So your mood changes, you get tired, you get more exhausted, and you still have to maintain a real life, right? So I think we did a very, very good job trying to balance it both. And I think we did very, very well at that show in Montreal. And then I was like, okay, Jesse, this is it. It's the end of the line. It's great. Let's keep working together. Let's keep, getting gains and doing, so now I can see what my body is capable of. I think you have to understand that coming from where I came from, where I was 250, 260 pounds, first of all, I never thought I was going to lose the weight ever in my life. I was like, this is just what it is, and you make peace with it. I never thought I'd be competing. So the fact that I lost the weight, that was a huge win. And then I started competing and I won. That was a gigantic win. And I'm like, okay, great. Like you've accomplished it. You've hit it. You're actually good at this. And I was like, all right, Jesse, let's keep doing what we do and let's just maintain it and like, grow and do all that stuff. And, we're good. Um, I think it must have been like a few weeks after I was like, you know, are you really great if you were successful at something once? And this is a mindset that I've always had. Like, if you're really, really good, then you need to be good at it more than just once. Because what if that one time was a fluke? What if that one time nobody showed up? What if? And all these things start playing in your head. So I was like, okay. And I remember telling you, I'm never going to compete again, Jesse. This was great. And you're like, all right. And I was like, he doesn't seem very convinced, but whatever. Who cares? So then, then I came around. I was like, hey, man. So I was thinking, and you're like, okay, great. So when's the show? Which is this one. And this one was gigantic. So the first one was Popeye's Classic in Montreal, and it was huge. And it is very intimidating in the beginning going on stage. And I was like, hey, if I just place top five, I'll be happy. Like it's amazing to going from being, super overweight to like at a bodybuilding competition. It's insane already. So we placed third there. And then I was like, okay, second show. I was like, hey, Jesse, let's do this show. I heard about it. I didn't know much about it. I thought it was going to be smaller than the first one, which was actually a good thing. Like, not knowing about it was good because I didn't stress about it. So I was like, oh, it's going to be like the one in Montreal, which was gigantic at the time. I think they had hit a record of athletes and a record
Yeah.
of like cross, and there was records after records that they hit at the time. So I was like, okay, great. Like, it's not going to be worse than that. Fast forward to Pittsburgh, we get there, and it's considerably worse than that. Um, and it was intimidating, but at that point, it's too late. I've committed. I'm already there. I have to deal with it. And so we flew down to Pittsburgh, signed up, and we did extremely well. We got second, and third in the three classes that we competed in. Way better than I could have possibly anticipated, to be honest with you. And I think we had a good time doing it too.
Yeah, yeah. And just for context for you guys, so this show up here was a provincial level show. So this is an entry level show. Usually first time competitors and everything. So we're like, you know what, like let's get our feet wet. Let's see how you do. Of course, my first time working with him, and it was pretty much like, let's do a contest prep. It wasn't like, let's recomp, let me learn your body, let me coach you for a bit. It was like, nope, like, okay, we got 11 weeks to get ready for this show. I don't remember what the timeline was, but we didn't have much time. Um,
Yeah,
so it was like, take me from where I am now in 11 weeks or something. I think it was 11 weeks. That number is like feels right for some reason.
yeah,
Back and
sounds
check my
right.
notes. And then we managed to crack top three at one of the biggest shows in Montreal, which was like, wow, great, you know? And I remember telling him, and I get the same speech to all my athletes. I'm like, hey man, like don't worry about the medals, worry about the experience, have fun, don't worry about the outcome. So like, yeah, it was good. We placed. Cool. This one, that was a national level show. So not only is it intimidating because you saw all of the national level competitors, these guys have been seasoned, they've been competing for a long time. It was also on the same day as the Pittsburgh Pro. So you see all these IFBB pros walking around, even more intimidating.
Yeah,
We were backstage with all of them, Martin Fitzwater, Derek Lunsford, Nick Walker, Crizzo, Terrence Ruffin, all these guys were there. So like we're surrounded by these guys, and that show was rushed. So like I'm used to, bringing athletes to Canada, everything's super chill, everything's always late, they're always behind, they're always
yeah,
unorganized. So I'm like, oh, don't worry, Khaled. Like, we can chill, take our time. Like, if it
Yeah.
starts at 10, you'll be on stage at 11:30. Don't worry. Um, so we get there, and they're calling his class to go on.
Yeah.
He didn't even have time to pump up. So like, considering that we still managed to pull off, second, third, being extremely underprepared, which is 100% my fault because I thought all these shows were unorganized. I learned my lesson. Was great, and the level of competition um, was significantly more difficult than what he was against
Yeah.
in Canada. Had he brought the package that he had in Canada, sorry, in Pittsburgh, with the posing, because the posing on the first show was atrocious,
Yeah.
he would probably walked away with the first place. And I'm not just saying that because he's my athlete. I'm just going purely based off facts. Like, and I'll get pictures, on this video so you guys can see the visual differences between the first show and the second show, and what a big off season and working and getting to know your athlete really does, right? In terms of like transforming your physique. And obviously it was a lot harder with on him the second prep. We had more time to get ready for it, so we had more time to like manage cortisol response and do all kinds of things. And we definitely did bring in a package that I was happy about. And we were shy of the pro card. The guy he lost to in one of the categories was the guy who won the pro card in men's physique. So um, next time.
Yeah, but you know what? Honestly, about Pittsburgh, I was actually I looked back at it and I was like, it was a tough competition between him and I. I remember at some point we kept going like front pulls, back pulls, and it's exhausting. Like you think it's it feels like a lifetime. But at a minimum, I will give them credit that when I was looking back, I was like, I understand it was a close call, but I understand why I came in second. Like I wasn't shocked. It wasn't one of those where I'm like, this makes absolutely no sense. This is
Yeah.
absurd. So
Yeah.
hats off to the judges. They did good calls.
I-
Good
I'd
calls.
love to see I'd love to see the scorecard for that, because the amount of times that they made you guys go and repeat your poses in their head, it was like neck and neck,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah, but it was nice. It was that, and the guy was super cool, and we shook hands after, and it was great. Like it was a great experience. It's just it was a little intimidating once we walked in, and I'm like, oh, this is at the convention center, and it's not like they have a room in the convention center. It's the convention center in Pittsburgh. But like I said, I think it was great that that I didn't know. I'm assuming you knew about this very well, but I think it was great that I didn't know. You didn't have the nerves, and we walked in. I'm like, okay, well, we're here now,
Mhm.
let's enjoy this. Let's see what we can come out with. And I think that was the right approach. But I think for both shows, even the first one, we were in the back. I mean, everybody was like stressed out and we were just in the back laughing and joking and
Yeah,
prepping. And
that I
I think
mean
we had
that's
a good time with it.
yeah, that's what you gotta do. Like, even my other athletes, like, we joke, like I'll make fun of some people backstage, like not to intentionally insult them, but like to lighten the mood of the athlete, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're there to have fun. Like, I get it, it's competitive, but like at the end of the day, like, you're winning a $5 trophy, and like nobody's gonna know who you are anyway. So like, have fun and enjoy the moment. Why you gotta be all serious and all stuck up and like
Yeah.
be mean to everybody around you and like have that small dick energy? Like, just have fun, enjoy it, be supportive of everyone around you, like have conversations. And like, I think that's, that was what was great. Like, you were probably one of the only people there who were like genuinely living in the moment, having fun, right? Everyone else is stressed out, like, oh, I didn't eat enough carbs, I'm flat, blah, blah, blah. And it's like almost nauseating sometimes. And like,
Yeah. And it's too late. It's done. You're there. Like it's you're pretty like the changes that you could make last minute. Sure, I'm sure it's gonna have an impact, but like it's not
marginally.
gonna yeah, it's not gonna make it or break. You're not gonna grow more muscles while you're backstage. It's not how it
No.
works.
No, like
Um,
marginally, you can tighten yourself up if you're in condition to do so. Half these people that are complaining about carbing up or not carbing up enough, like, you're not conditioned enough. So like, if you carved up even more, you're just gonna look worse. You're not gonna look better. Like,
yeah,
carbing up
yeah,
is not gonna make your six pack more visible if your six pack is not there to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of
yeah,
these people have like very skewed ideas of like, or not skewed. Like, I think they're what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they're delusionally optimistic about how they look, right? A
yeah.
lot
But
of
I also think that you get to that point and you're like, well, I don't want to. I want to blame something if I don't win.
yeah, and they blame their coach.
So yeah, and how is it being a coach? I mean, I can assume that at some point, you may have gotten blamed for not winning or not placing, and I thought we were going to do great, and we didn't do great. How do you deal with that?
So thankfully, I have a pretty good track record with my athletes, right? So like I think out of all the athletes I've put on stage, so let's say I put, I don't know, 70 people on stage. I probably have like three people that were below top three. So like I have a pretty good track record. There was only one person who I felt like gave me the blame, and it was a show I completely advised him against doing, right? So he was a natural athlete and he wanted to compete in the open. And he was reluctant to dieting hard. Every time I pulled the carbs, he would complain that he felt tired and sick and he can't work and blah 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 and whatever. And my response was, "Hey, listen, like no one's forcing you to compete. Like this is the name of the game. If you don't want to starve and be hungry and do cardio and do this and do that and drop your body fat, the sport's not for you. This is essentially the essence of the sport. Get lean." Especially if you're going to go compete against people who are enhanced as a natural athlete, you really got to bring your A game. So already he wasn't really conditioned and he went in and he came in last place, which I advised him. Like I told him, I was like,
Mhm.
my conditions for you doing this show is once you do it, you cannot give me any backlash or anything because I've advised you more than once to not do this, right? It's my reputation too, because now I look like a shit coach because I bring someone in who comes in last place, right? So I look dumb.
Yeah,
But for this, I didn't care about my reputation. I'm like, I just want to make this guy happy. He wants to get on stage. Let's do it. He thinks he's better than everyone in the natural divisions. Cool. Let's do it. Um, and then I think like a week after the show, he fired me. So like, yeah, he didn't publicly backlash me, but like getting rid of me a week after the show, like it says a lot. So, um, and then on top of that, like I don't really think I had any other issues with athletes. Like one mess up, and not I wouldn't blame it as being my fault, but it was the organization of the show. Is my most recent guy that I put on stage where they didn't measure his height correctly. So we had to transition him from classic physique to bodybuilding. And in bodybuilding, they do expect a little bit more level of leanness and they expect a little bit more muscle mass. Okay. So like he made the weight cap for classic bodybuilding, right? Had they measured him correctly. Um, so in the span of like a whole year off season, we managed to put on like 17 pounds of lean tissue because he was leaner in his first
oh,
show and he was 17 pounds heavier. So job well done. In classic physique, had he done that, I think he would have came either first or second, right? It depends how the judges would have span it. I would have had him first or second. In bodybuilding, he came, I think, sixth, six out of seven, something like that. And it's not because he wasn't in condition. It's because he was not in the right category, right? So for him to be competitive
yeah,
at his height, he would have probably needed about 20 pounds more muscle, and I would have needed to dry him out a little bit more. So like, first time doing an enhanced show, right? You got to learn the athlete. You got to, you know, play around with certain compounds. And of course, I'm not going to overload him on things, right? I'm not the coach that's going to overload someone on PDs, make them sick and do all that stuff. No, really take a modest approach. And you just got to learn the athlete's body. You got to push the limits. And so I don't think he was particularly pissed off at me. I think he was mad at the situation in general.
yeah,
But we did have a talk afterwards, and he was like hungry. He's like, shit, like now I want to compete in the open. So like he kind of shifted his goal to like, yeah, I could have been great at classic physique, but like now being in open and getting destroyed, he's like, shit, like this is what I want to do now. So
yeah,
whether we continue down that path or not, I haven't spoken to him in a little while. He's a little bit busy with work and stuff. I would say it's probably like one of the worst experiences, right? From the athlete's perspective. Apart from that, like I really try to do a good job to bring my athletes super conditioned. And if they want to give me shit because they think I made a bad call, cool. At the end of the day, you can go and hire another coach. And if you're going to do the exact same fuck up and you're changing coaches 30 times,
yeah.
well, probably not the coach's fault at that point. Like at some point, you got to take accountability for your own actions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember that show. It was very, very unfortunate. But just for reference, I don't know if we can put up a picture of him whenever you do, but he was shredded. Like it's not like he didn't come in bad shape.
Oh,
Anybody
no,
looking at
no.
him, he looked phenomenal. It's
He
just
was
you're right. The category.
Yeah, he was leaner at that. He was leaner at like 6 weeks out than he was the first time he competed. Like he brought it.
Wow.
He brought it. The only thing that was
Yeah.
missing, he has an issue with getting the legs very, very dry, right? And it's a
Yeah.
issue that we had the first year. So we got to figure out how we can do that, right? And it's an issue. I think it's an ethnicity thing, right? So a lot of like mixed colored athletes, I'm gonna say, who I've coached, we seem to have a bit of an issue getting the legs conditioned. So it's probably a genetic thing. Like maybe I just need to learn how to work with that. Um, or maybe we just got to get him more dry because upper body was pretty much as dry as it can get. Like he was ripped upper
Yeah.
body.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Oh yeah.
the lower body that suffered a little bit. You know, we added a lot more tissue in his lower body. So I'm like, okay, everything's going to show more. Everything's going to show through. So I also think it could have been an issue because we were like, when it came to the weigh-ins, we were desperate to make the weight for Classic, and they gave us till the time that they were done packing up all their stuff. So this guy was running in a hoodie. This
Yeah.
guy was spitting and doing all kinds of stuff. And what I think happened is raise his cortisol levels and he just started holding water because the weight went down and then it went right back up. So like
Yeah.
I think that kind of maybe ruined his physique a little bit. Just spiking the cortisol, a few hours before the show. It's unfortunate, but I just think it was like let's call it malpractice, if you will, from the people that were taking the heights of the athletes, like do it correctly. You know what I mean? Like get
Yeah.
proper tools to measure the heights correctly. Like they were measuring this guy in front of us who's like clearly like 6'2". They were measuring him at 5'11". I'm like 5'3", and I was looking at him like this to talk to him. You telling me he's 5'10"? Like, no, no, no. It's I think they need to do a little bit better to like, get that. You can imagine like he prepped how many weeks for this show, the amount of
Yeah.
suffering, all that stuff, the things
Yeah.
he had to say no to get shafted from his category to go into bodybuilding to not do well. It's discouraging,
Yeah.
right? It's disheartening, and this can turn a lot of people off from the sport. So thankfully, he took it on the chin, and he's like, you know what, it is what it is. We just got to get better and grow. But not everyone's going to have
Yeah.
that attitude.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So clearly, you do a lot of people that compete, but do you also do people that are not competitors? What about them makes them unique, and what can you do for them? What are some of the
Yeah,
challenges you've seen, and what are some of the progress that you've made with them?
yeah. So right now, I'm working with let's call it like high level executives, business owners, people that are working high positions in companies, people making a lot of money. And what I noticed with these people, it's a whole different challenge than what I'm used to, is they travel a lot. They don't like to
Yeah,
cook. They go out to eat. They have dinners. There's alcohol involved. So a lot of the challenges here is finding ways to make sure you can keep them making progress without necessarily having them to measure and weigh out all their foods all the time. And then coming out with very specific guidelines to make up for the fact that they're traveling frequently or they're frequently in hotels or this or that. So, what I tend to do for these people is I'm like, okay, let me know where you're staying. What do you have accessible in the hotel? What restaurants you foresee yourself going to? And I had one client, I would tell him, like, every time you travel, send me menus of all the restaurants that you're going to. And then what do? I
yeah,
pull up a Loom video and I go menu by menu of each restaurant. And I'm like, here's what I would suggest for you. If you're going at lunchtime, this is what your typical lunch meal looks like. You would have this, or this option. These are going to be your best. I suggest those three. Anything out of those, you're going to bust your calorie count. If you're going for dinner, this, or this, we have a little bit more calories here because post-workout, you have more flexibility. You could choose between these five
yeah,
meals. Anything outside of that is either not going to meet the protein requirements or you're going to kill your fat macros. So it's like a different way of coaching, right? Because a lot of these people cannot be bothered to weigh their food, right? Not that they don't want to, it's just they're more productive working in their business, making more money. Who knows,
yeah,
right? Like if I'm making that level of money, I ain't weighing food. Someone's doing that shit for me. Someone's cooking my food. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so that's a lot of the challenges, right? It's just like working with someone who's got an extremely dynamic lifestyle due to the work challenges and demands. In terms of execution, a lot of these people are on it. Yes, sometimes they make excuses. Again, demanding schedules makes it very hard, but you just got to find a way to work with them, right? So it's completely different than working with an athlete where some people, I don't, give them a meal plan and I just have to change it every 2 weeks to adjust and I don't hear from them. These people need to communicate a little bit more and they need to have a better understanding and knowledge on the food, right? So a lot of them don't have the basic knowledge. So you got to educate in a way so that if they're in a situation, they'll know what to do, right? And in terms of progress, a lot of them are making great progress. Like I would say out of the 100 people that I've coached in the last 3, 4 months, almost everybody who's listened to me has lost at least between 15 and 20 pounds. Easily.
Oh,
Easily.
that's impressive when you're traveling a lot in hotels and hotel gyms and restaurants. That is definitely
Yeah.
impressive. It's easy
Yeah.
when you don't travel because you have your stuff at home and you know where everything is and you can weigh things and
Yeah.
but when you travel a lot, it's definitely challenging.
A lot of it just has to do with making the right decisions, right? If you're not paying someone, let's say X amount of money to coach you, you're going to do what you want. You're going to eat what you want because you don't have to report to someone. But when there's a
Yeah,
financial investment involved and you want to make progress, automatically you're going to be a little bit more cautious about what you're putting in your body. So these people would typically go for the burgers or they would go for the pizza or subs or whatever, right? They go for the greasy food that they want. But now they're like, shit, okay, I paid this guy like 3 grand. Um, I really want this progress. I've been stuck for like the last 5 years making no progress. I would normally get the burgers, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the fish and a salad. So, like, instinctively, they're just going to make those better decisions because they have like a financial
yeah,
commitment to it. And then they're not the people that are going to be like, hey, I paid you all this money and I didn't get results. These people take accountability. I've never had one of these people who got mad at me for how much they were paying for the service or the program. And they were like, oh, I didn't get results because you sucked. They're usually like, yeah, I didn't get where I wanted because I wasn't following what you gave me. Like they
yeah,
actually take accountability.
yeah.
Whereas when you're working with someone who's
Yeah.
paying $150 a month, it's always my fault. I'm at
Of
fault all the
course,
time. All the time.
of course.
I had this guy where he was changing his diet every 3 days because he was never happy with it. And then eventually he's like, it's not working for me. It's not dynamic enough. I'm not getting results, blah, blah, blah. Never logged a workout, never did a check-in, never logged his food, never did his cardio, never drank his water, was not sleeping. But of course, it's all my fault. Like when he's about to go to
Yeah,
bed, I show up at his house with a blowhorn to wake him up. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
yeah,
So people often tell me I could never do what you do. It's suffering. It looks like you're suffering. To be honest, I don't look like I'm suffering. I don't feel like I'm suffering. At least to me, it's first of all. I mean, we were talking before this, and I was like, when are we cutting again? That's how excited I
yeah,
am to cut again. So I don't feel like I'm suffering. And to be honest, the results that I get are great. So I'm
yeah.
happy with it. And I'm like, I want more of that. So let's do more. What do you say to people that are like, yeah, I don't want to suffer. I just don't want to suffer.
Well, so the way that I would like tackle that question is case specific. So I had a call with a guy yesterday from Saudi Arabia, and he told me exactly this. He's like, I want to live life a little bit. I believe we were put on this planet to enjoy. So if I want to eat pizza, I'm going to eat pizza. If I want to have ice cream, I want to have ice cream. If I want to do this, I want to do this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, great. So why did you join a weight loss program?
Yeah.
Why did you join a program to lose weight if you want to do what you want to do and enjoy life? I'm like, the reason you got here, whoops. I'm like, the reason you showed up to this program was because you're not happy with how you look or how you feel, which is a direct consequence of you enjoying life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You didn't gain weight
Yeah.
because you were sitting at home eating fucking ice cubes. Like you gained weight because you've been enjoying life a little too much. So
Yeah.
I tell these people straight, I'm like, you have to understand with everything in life, there's a compromise. You want to make more money, you give up more time. You give up outings, you give up family things, you give up this, you give up that. You
Yeah.
want to get in shape, you got to give up the fast foods. You got to do the cardio, you got to do the weight training. It's always a give and take in life with everything. Everything's reciprocated.
Yeah.
There's no take and not have to give something up in return, apart from death, right?
Yeah.
So what I told him specifically, I'm like, you need to find a compromise. You need to eat healthy. You need to find some sort of balance and you can enjoy, but like, let's call it modestly. Because if you go
Yeah.
and enjoy how you are now, there's no point in following anything I'm going to give you because you're going to stay in the same friggin' spot. And then the other people, they're like, I don't have time. I don't do this. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, okay, have you met this guy? No. Well, this guy runs 3 businesses. He works 75 hours a week. He's got 2 kids,
Yeah.
trains 4 days a week, does 30 minutes of cardio every single morning, doesn't miss a meal. Why can he do it and you can't? I think a lot of people are just bad at time management they procrastinate, and they're lazy, right? If you calculate how much time people are just idle doing nothing, so like sitting down, doom scrolling, playing video games, watching TV,
Yeah.
that can be allocated to doing these activities to make yourself better. But they don't want. They're like, I want to enjoy life. Well, okay, what's the cost of enjoying life in your current state? Later on could be being on hundreds of dollars a month in medications, hundreds of doctor visits a year, surgeries, things that are potentially irreversible. So, like, this is the cost of inaction, of not taking yourself seriously or your health. You know what I mean? And then they're like, in your case, like, I find it suffering. Well, what's, what's worse in terms of suffering? Having to chop your leg off because you're diabetic, or doing Stairmaster 5 times a week for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you're
And I
not,
think the other thing too is, and just to clear the air, absolutely not suffering. I think we've done it very, very well to a point where, I mean, I'm the one that's suggesting we cut even more. I'm the one that's even more eager to cut more. So it's just interesting that people see that suffering the second something changes. The truth is, especially the first time when we worked together, it was very, very progressive and slow. I'm not gonna lie to you. With the first competition, yeah, there was the point at the end where it was intense, but most people that just do this for the lifestyle, they're never gonna get to that point where
yeah,
they're like, oh, I need to go so low on my calories when
yeah,
my body fat is at like 6%
yeah.
and continue going, continue pushing, continue lifting as hard as I was. So I think that question of, I don't want to suffer. I'm like, but it's not. You just think that you're going to have to do what I do, but I do because I
Exactly.
want to. You don't have to go that extreme
It,
too. You can just adapt it.
the average person who has to do something that they don't like doing would consider it to be suffering, right? Like, people tell me, they're like, oh, well, why do you follow a diet all year round? I'm like, I don't follow a diet. I just eat well. It's not suffering. Like, I
Yeah.
want to eat my chicken and rice because it keeps me in shape. It keeps me lean. It keeps me energized.
Yeah.
If I ate like you, I would look like shit and I would feel like crap, which is why you don't have the
Yeah.
energy to do anything. So it's like,
Yeah.
I think the whole suffering thing is contextual to these people because they don't see themselves doing it because they don't care, right? And,
Yeah.
a lot of these people will start to care when it's too late. Or
Yeah.
some of them just never do. Some of them just never do.
Yeah.
They just, live in they live comfortably in their discomfort. And that's okay. Like, if that's the type of person you wish to be, cool, go ahead. But the top performers in everything, like, name me one billionaire who's overweight.
Yeah.
Probably can't. Like, okay, Elon Musk, not in the greatest shape, but like, the average person looks worse than him. So, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, a lot of the
Yeah.
high performers are in shape, right? There's a direct correlation with being in shape and being a more productive member of society, making more money, attracting better people into your life. Like, it's all is directly correlated with how much you take care of yourself. You let yourself go,
Absolutely.
well, you're going to attract a lot of negative crap in your life like that.
Absolutely. So let's pivot a little bit. I was on Instagram doom scrolling. But I had done all my workouts and everything. So, and I saw this guy who was using ChatGPT for full contest prep. Now we're talking about diets. We're talking about posing. We're talking everything. He had no coach. And just to put it in perspective for everybody, the way I work with Jesse is I get my meal plan. I get my workout plan. I get everything. Everything I need to do, I get it. So I don't have to think. And the meal plan is for those who think that I'm suffering. It's based on stuff that I'm okay eating. And by okay, it's just not like I like eating it. It's easily available. So I did a bit of thinking before we started working together, where I was like, I need it to be quick. I can't stand there and cook for hours. It's not me. It's not going to happen. Maybe somebody else. So I got a meal company and I was like, okay, what do I need to eat? How fast can it be? What if I travel? Is there something that I can easily replace it with? Right. So even though I do travel and yeah, maybe the macros are going to change a little bit, we're not talking about a 30% change. We're talking maybe 10%. And usually it's known ahead of time and we can mitigate all that stuff. So I get my meal plan, I get my workout plan, I get my cardio plan, I get everything done. I just need to execute on it, which is very, very easy. For the meal plan, I get it for the most part. I outsource it because I'm not going to stand there and cook. So I'm like, okay, great. Let me find someone that can do meal prep for me. And I chose to do that route. I mean, some people could choose to do it themselves. Some people love cooking. It's just not me. So this guy decided to get ChatGPT and use him as full contest prep coach with the diet, with the check-ins, and it's impressive a little bit, to be honest. What do you think of that? How does that make you feel?
Okay. So our time on the call is going to end in 3 minutes. So let me give the most
Oh
elaborate
shit.
answer I can. Yeah, because I don't have Zoom Pro. Um, so I think ChatGPT can do a pretty decent job at coaching someone if you feed it the right amount of content, right? So a lot of these people, they're going to send them pictures. They're going to say, get me ready for competition prep, right? And they're going to give no
Yeah.
additional context. They're not going to let them know how they feel. There's no additional metrics. And they're also not going to feed them pictures of what people look like who are winning shows. So I actually
Yeah.
tested this for myself, right? When I was in one of my off seasons, I'm like, I want you to write me a PED cycle to grow. I want you to write me a workout. Here's pictures of myself. Here's what I need to improve on. Make something that makes sense. The workouts, I'm not going to lie to you, were pretty good, right? They were good. The meal
Okay.
plan, however, was not exactly like I was maintaining my weight. At the time, I was at like 4,000 calories and it put me somewhere around like 2,600. I'm like, I'm not going to maintain on that. I'm going to drop weight pretty heavily. Um, and then the cycle, it made sense. It was a little heavy, but So I think it could do a good job contextually, but you have to you have to take it with a grain of salt, right? So it's not a human. It can't read emotions and it's going to spit out what it thinks based on the data that you feed it. So you have to make
Yeah.
sure you're giving it a lot of information, a lot of context for it to make sense. And again, I've never ran it fully through a full contest prep. So how do I know it's going to get you in decent shape? I don't know, right? It might get you at like 10% body fat and say you look great, right? And the thing with ChatGPT,
Yeah.
you have to challenge it. It'll tell you something, and you got to be like, "Are you sure?" It's going to say, "Oh no, actually, you're right." Like
Hallucination.
I said,
Yeah.
yeah. So I wouldn't trust it. I mean, you can try it, see what the outcome comes. If it's not the way that you like, spend the money, hire a coach.
Yeah.
Again, so my overall it's good with some things, and I think it lacks in other departments. That would be what my review would be, because I had given it pictures of myself and prejudging. I'm like, where do you think I placed? And it's like, I think you placed in third place. I was like, no, I came in last in the overall.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think it lacks a little bit.
I don't think we're there yet.
Not yet.
I don't think we're there yet. I think maybe one day we can get there, but for now, I think there's a lot of the human aspect that it completely does. I mean, it can't account for, right?
Yeah.
How you feel, your mood, your this, your when to carb up, when to not, when to like increase your sodium, when to decrease the sodium. There's so many things that I feel like it can't necessarily evaluate properly. Like someone that sees you in person or someone that knows you and knows your body and knows how you've done last show versus this show and how you've placed and how the others have placed. I think there's a lot of learning that it needs to do before it gets to a good point.
Yeah. Awesome, Khaled. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.